Hi, and welcome to today's Relax and Restore yoga class. I'm Colleen, and I'll be guiding your practice today. So, to begin, you can place your bolster or pillow lengthwise along the mat and then lay all the way back, making sure that your entire upper body, head, and neck is fully supported. And so, to get started, simply spin your hips forward. I personally love a little space between my hips and the bolster. I find that gives my low back opportunity to lengthen and to isolate the lift in the mid and upper back. And so once you lay all the way back, you can kind of assess and do a little personal check-in. If there's pinchiness in the low back, it means that you could benefit from moving your hips a little ways further away from your prop. If you still feel any pinch from there, maybe your bolster is a little too high. So maybe explore perhaps some pillows or something that is just has a little less lift in it. And then from there, you can walk the shoulders beneath the heart, let the palms face open. You can really take up space here. Arms can be out to the side, overhead, or alongside the hips. And then any variation of the legs here is welcomed and encouraged. So if you're looking for a little more stability to the low back and pelvis, you can start with the knees bent. You might like a contrast of letting the knees fall inward, just considering we do so much external opening of the hips. So this can be a great way to lengthen the outer hip while creating slight internal rotation. So you can feel what that's like in the body, see if the body's inviting you to stay. Alternatively, you could take the soles of the feet together, knees fan out to the side. Option here for a couple pillows to the outer thigh for support. This is going to create an external rotation of the hip and help to lengthen the inner groin. Now, if you're craving just stretching the legs long, this can feel lovely as well. So you can check in with how this feels in the body. This creates a little bit of a release through the front of the pelvis. For me, sometimes my low back will start to arc, just knowing my hip flexors are a little on the shorter side. And so a little scoop of the hips, readjusting the pelvis can usually help to take some of that compression out of the low back. And so you can play around with those variations, see where the body is again inviting you to remain. And then from there, blink your eyes closed, start to turn your awareness inward. As you breathe in, notice the length of the inhale. And in turn, notice the length of the exhale. Continue to breathe while exploring the depth of the breath. Is the breath longer or shorter or exactly as you had expected it to be? If you continue to breathe here, what can you notice happening in the body with each inhale and each exhale? What can you feel expanding as you breathe in? What can you notice releasing as you breathe out? And now that you've had a few moments, even a couple minutes here to settle in, to notice the breath, to feel into the body, is there anything in particular you'd like to call in and nourish within your being today? Perhaps a sense of centeredness, groundedness, compassion for others, compassion for yourself, or maybe even being off the hook, even if it's just for this hour, fully off the hook, so that when thoughts and agendas start to trickle in upon the mind, upon noticing, you let them go and re-gift yourself the opportunity to be fully off the hook. And then let this serve as your foundation of your intention, compassion, presence, being off the hook, or whatever comes to mind. Use your imagination and envision it being placed inside the vessel of the breath so that with every breath, all that you're calling in, all that you aim to nourish within is continuously bathing you. We'll be here for another 10 more breaths, give or take. Leave the count to me. Just continue to rest and breathe. With your next inhale, extend the arms all the way overhead. If the knees are bent, stretch them long. Drink in this next inhale and reach a little further, lengthening also from tail to crown. Then, as you exhale, return the arms by your sides, bend the knees, walk the feet in. Pause here and cross your right ankle over the left thigh for a gentle opening of the right hip. You might even bounce out the right thigh a couple times to explore the range of motion, just creating a little relaxation through the front and outer hip. And we'll be moving into deeper openings of the hips later on in practice. So if you're craving more, just know that that awaits. For now, just let this be effortless, if you will. If you've got any issues going on with the knees, a slight flexion of the ankle can help to add a little stability to the knee while isolating the opening through the outer hip. And for me, I'm not feeling a ton of sensation. My hips are fairly open, probably a little more open than I'd like them to be. And so, but let yourself, if you're feeling that to be the case for you, just let it be effortless. You might be feeling a ton of sensation on the other hand. And if that's the case, this is a great place to begin to prepare yourself for more openings later on. And so, regardless of what you feel in the posture, know that there's no right or wrong, there's just what's present for you. For those feeling lots of sensation, again, it's a great preparation. For those of you feeling less, it's an opportunity for the tissues to really relax around the hip joint. Just a few more breaths here. And then again, you can keep your hands at your sides, overhead. Even a cactus shape might feel nice at this time. And then keeping the legs in the shape they're in, allow the legs to gently fall over to the left side. Now, for me, my right foot doesn't come all the way to the floor. So it's a great opportunity for me to put a block or a pillow underneath the right foot or just to let it hover. This creates a gentle rotation through the spine, a release through the front of the hip, the outer hip. And if you're feeling much sensation through the right side of the low back, this is called your quadratus lumborum, also known as the QL. And they're spinal stabilizers. And when they start to lengthen, it creates more space around in the lumbar sacral region of the spine. So just the low back area. And it can help to open up the hip and just decrease congestion in the low back and pelvis area. For now, feel the breath moving through the right sideways. Relax deeply as you breathe out, witnessing the body soften towards the earth. Let yourself be fully held. Relax the jaw, unclench the teeth, and breathe deeply. On your next breath in, take your time, draw your navel to spine, then gently assist the legs back to center. Unravel the right leg. You can stay here with the knees bent or stretch them long. And just simply notice how you're feeling right side compared to the left. Feel the after image, the information coming from the body to the mind. Notice what feels the same and what feels different. Then moving on to the left side, bend the knees, walk the feet in if they're not there already. Begin slowly crossing your left leg on top of your left or right thigh. And again, you might rock the hips, bounce out the left thigh, and just start to feel the edges of this shape till you find a sweet spot where you're ready to remain. Let this be this is an opportunity for you to encourage the muscles around the hip to relax and soften. You might notice patterns of holding, even though you're encouraging the hip to relax and to release. On noticing, deepen back into the breath, go to the breath. Let it carry your mind's attention inside and to support you in letting go of any tension, body or mind. And now that you've had a few moments here, again, option to take the arms to the side. They can remain at the hips or cactus overhead. And then allow the legs to gently fall to the right side. If your left foot doesn't come all the way to the floor, slide a block or a pillow underneath your left foot. Let your body begin to soften into this shape. A gentle twist through the spine, a release through the left low back and outer hip. With each breath you breathe in, can you notice the left side waist expand? On each exhale, can you feel yourself soften a little deeper into the twist? Notice any patterns of holding in the body. Deepen the breath once again. Let it soften you in. Take your sweet time. And, and as you exhale, draw your low belly in and up to support the low back and spine. And moving slowly, rotate yourself back to center. Again, you might pause here with hips level, knees bent, or explore stretching the legs long. Take a moment here, again, just to feel the information, the feedback from the body. To notice right side compared to the left. What's the same? What's the different? What is different? Then gently rolling off to your side, settling there into the fetal position for a couple rounds of breath. Gently press the earth away and rise all the way up into kneeling. From kneeling, bring the big toes to touch, the knees to draw out to the side, and allow your hips to sink back towards your heels. Your choice to use your bolster or pillow. Alternatively, you might like to skip the props and take a traditional child's pose. If you are using props, ensure again that the majority of the torso, head, and neck are supported by the props beneath you. So the upper chest, the head and neck. You can turn the head left or right, whichever feels best in the body. And you can always reposition it. So if it's at any point in time throughout the hold, you want to reposition the head, feel free to do so. And this is one of my favorite postures to reset the low back and spine in particular. For me, I feel release all the way through the entire spine. However, particularly the low back. This posture also has all the benefits of a mild inversion where the head is slightly lower than the heart. So it's going to increase circulation. And the slight compression of the abdomen into the thighs can help to create a gentle massage to the internal organs, can also compress some of the lymph area. And then when you release, there's often a flush of blood flow. So it helps to sort of massage and move the lymph area. The experience of the breath in the body might feel quite different. Notice if you can feel the low back, the mid back, the upper back and shoulder area expanding as you inhale, and all that is softening as you exhale. Follow this next breath all the way to the very, very top. Feel it empty completely. Then begin to rise back up onto all fours. If you're creating a little bit of movement, feel free to integrate that in a little figure eight of the spine, barrel rolling of the hips and spine, little down dog, pedaling out the feet, swaying out through the hips. And then eventually return back to table. You can use your props similarly to the last time. This time we'll be settling into pigeon. So here, begin with the right knee behind the right wrist so that the right knee is a little wider than the fleshiest part of your hip. Bring your right shin to about a 45-degree angle, give or take, so that your right foot is is in front of your left hip. Then slide your left leg as far back as it will reach and allow the hips to descend towards the earth. If you're feeling pressure on your left knee, by drawing your heel to the buttock and then setting the foot back down, sometimes that moves the patella or the kneecap out of the way. Another alternative would be to place a little blanket roll underneath the top of the thigh so that the kneecap is hovering off the floor, or even a little cushion underneath the knee. Now, if you check into your right hip and there's any more than, say, a fist width of space between your right butt cheek and the mat, I recommend a little cushion to the outer hip. This will give the body something to rest into so that it can fully relax and release and let go of any tension of trying to hold you in place. And then from there, fold your way forward so that the upper body, head and neck is fully supported by your bolster or your pillow, either cheek or ear to the mat, just seeing what feels best in the head and neck. Sending your awareness intently into the breath, feeling the body expand as you inhale, feeling the body soften as you exhale, and hearing the echo of your intention right there in the breath. Each breath bathing you with all that you're calling in and all that you aim to nourish within. Begin to rise all the way back up now. Take a moment to pause And then unravel the right leg. Extend the right leg straight back. Here you can curl the toes under, press the right heel straight back, right thigh to the sky, or you can even give the leg a little shake or press back to a three-legged dog. Again, if you're craving any barrel rolls, any movement of the spine or anything else, feel free to incorporate that in. Then moving on to the left side, place your left knee to the outer edge of the mat, give or take, or to the outside. Again, here a little wider than the fleshiest part of your hip. Left shin will be at about a 45-degree angle. It can be more, it can be less. If it's less, that'll decrease the intensity of the hip opening for the foot to come a little further forward to that would a little more parallel to the front edge of the mat. I'm at a loss for words. More parallel to the front edge of the mat. That's going to increase sensations. You can always experiment with that angle, 45 degrees, more or less. Then slide your right leg as far back as it will reach. Here you can draw the heel to the buttock, release the back foot down, and then gently fold forward from there. Notice that the breath, the rhythm, the cadence has changed in any way. And then can you smoothen it? Can you change anything? Can you refine it? Oftentimes, a simple act of observing the breath can lengthen the inhales and exhales, even out the cadence. You could even explore counting the length of the inhale, counting the length of the exhale, so that the cycles of the breath are even, so that if the inhale is 4 seconds, the exhale is 4 seconds as well. Begin to slowly rise all the way back up onto your hands. Take a moment to pause and breathe here. And then unravel the left leg, extend the left toe or extend the left leg straight back, left toes curled under, left heel presses back, left thigh to the sky. And again, you've got options. You can give the leg a little shimmy shake or jump rope the spine. Down dog is there for you. And then from there, we'll move into another twist. So bring your right hip to the floor, knees out to the left side of your mat. And if you wish to place a bolster or a pillow between the thighs, that can feel extra supportive for the low back. And then sit up tall through your spine. Draw the low belly in. Bring both hands to either side of the pillow. Turn your navel towards the pillow or the bolster or the center of your mat. And then drape your torso down the length of your prop. Again, optional to have the bolster underneath. And then tip your head left or right and settle in. So a little prone twist, a gentle rotation of the spine. Here in today's sequence, we're doing lots to unravel the hips as well as the low back and spine. Encourage the belly to soften, the side ribs to expand with each breath you breathe in. And right at the top of the breath, can you feel the mid and upper back, the shoulder blades expand? Relax deeply with each exhale you breathe. Moving at a glacial pace, begin to rise all the way back up. Sit up tall through the spine. And then return your way back to neutral table. Take a moment to notice how you feel. You could sit back into child's pose for a moment or two while stretching the arms forward to neutralize the spine. You could come to kneeling cat, even extend the arms overhead, teeter from side to side, just resetting, washing any after image of the pose away. And then eventually returning back to neutral table. Then bring your hips or bring your knees off to the right side of your mat. Come to your left hip. Grow tall through the spine. Draw your low belly in and up, and then rotate to the left side, aiming the navel towards the center of your mat or your bolster, and then descending your way forward. Again, here, either cheek or ear can come to the mat. Slowly start to rise all the way back up. Again, returning onto all fours. Any little movements to wash away any after image of the pose. And then you can set your bolster or your pillow off to the side and return onto your back. Make sure that your strap is within reach. And then place your strap over the mound of the right foot. Extend the right foot all the way overhead. If you find your hands tend to fatigue, wrap the strap a couple times around the hands so that it's more of the arms doing the work rather than the hands themselves. Play around with the depth of stretch. So see where it feels really too intense, too much. See where it feels complacent and then land somewhere in between. Fine tune the shape and ensure that there's a gentle, natural curvature to the low back and spine so that you're not pulling and recruiting movement from the low back or the SI joint. Ensure a slight micro bend to the right ankle, right knee. And then your choice, you can have the left leg long. I find I enjoy this variation due to the release through the front of the left hip. Having said that, the stability offered from left knee bent, left foot onto the floor can also feel great as well. And then once you found the depth of shape, you've refined the pose, blink your eyes closed once again. Return your attention to the breath. Let the shoulders get heavy. You can even experiment with wiggling the jaw a little left and right. And as you breathe, can you notice a subtle pause at the top, as well as a subtle pause at the bottom? Now take the strap into the right hand and begin to guide the right leg open to the right side. Pause where the body naturally yields, where you feel an increased sensation through the inner groin. Add a slight tip of the toes towards the earth, the heel spinning skyward, and still a micro bend into the knee. A little bit of a shorter hold here, just another 5 to 7 more breaths. Dive your attention back into the breath. Encourage the left hip to get a little heavier so as to isolate the opening to the inner groin and not to twist from the low back and spine. With your next inhale, gently guide your right leg overhead and take your strap into the left hand. From there, if the left leg isn't straight, straighten it all together. Take your right thumb to the right hip crease, draw the right hip slightly down to create a little bit of an anchor, and then take your right foot about 2/3 of the way over to the left. This will help to increase a release through the outer right hip all the way through the IT band. For some of you, you'll feel hardly any sensation. For some of you, this might feel really intense. Just again, notice what is present for you. Nothing is good nor bad, it's just what is. And the body's feedback serves as information for how to adjust. So if it's too much sensation, rewind the pose. If it's not too enough sensation, there might be a little more range for you to explore, or you can just simply rest in the effortlessness of it and encourage a deeper state of relaxation versus sensation. Guide the right leg now back overhead. Take a moment to pause here. 2 breaths. And then slip the strap off the right foot and lower the right foot alongside the left. Notice how you feel. And then walk the feet in. Place the strap over your left foot and extend your left leg overhead. Again, you can keep the right knee bent or stretch the right leg long. Insist on a micro bend through the left ankle, the left knee, and explore a range where you feel sensation, not too much, not too little, somewhere in between. And allow the time within the pose, as well as the breath to encourage the body to relax and release. Again, it's not more sensation we're looking for, it's a greater state of letting go and easefulness and encouraging the sensation to dissipate. If the breath has shallowed in any way, enliven it again. Take the strap now into the left hand and begin to guide the left leg out to the side again. Increase sensation to the left inner groin. Encourage the right hip to get heavy. And now guide the left leg back overhead. Reach the toes over the nose. Take the strap into the right hand. Extend the right leg long if it isn't already. Take your left thumb to the left hip crease. Draw the left hip slightly down. And then begin to guide the right leg about 2/3 of the way over to, or sorry, guide the left leg about 2/3 of the way over to the right. The left hip anchored and heavy. The left heel reaching up and over to the right side. So you have opposing forces that will assist in releasing the outer left hip, the outer left thigh. Relax into the breath itself again. And now guide the left leg back overhead. Take a breath or two here. And then slip the strap off the left foot and lower your left foot alongside the right. Notice how you feel. Walk the feet back in. Hug your knees to the chest for a moment or two. And then slide your bolster to the lower part of your mat and release your legs. Drape them over your bolster. Ensure that the knees, the back of the thighs are fully supported. Can always adjust the spine or choose another posture altogether. Allow the eyes to softly close from there and settle into your Shavasana, a little release to the low back, the spine, as well as an opportunity to rest deeply. Let go of your body like it was falling through water. Letting go of any attachment to your physical form, any hats you wear, roles you play in life, just let them dissipate from the mind till all that's left is the essence of you as well as the breath, beyond any definition of body or mind. Om Namo 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 Anjanina Ndanaya Jai Sitaram Jai Jai Baba Hanuman. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Begin to reawaken the body with breath. Send the arms all the way overhead. Take a big old stretch. Extend your arms now over your head. Roll out the wrists, wiggle the fingers, roll out the ankles, wiggle your toes. And hug your knees deeply into your chest. Give yourself a great big squeeze. And then roll gently to the side. Take a couple moments to breathe there. Feel the cradle of your own embrace. And then gently press the floor away, rise up into seated. Come to kneeling, come to your seat. whatever feels most supportive for you. Bring your hands into heart center or into prayer and bow slightly inward, the head bowing towards the heart, a gesture of the mind to listen into the intuitiveness of the heart. Again, here, thank yourself for getting on your mat, for taking time to nourish back into your being today. And as you bring your physical practice to a close, invite any insights from your practice, your intention off the mat into your days ahead. Thank you so much for being here. Namaste.